pounds on me, so I got that fire on me. In the desert heat, I'm burning marijuana, trying to fill bags with green and blue cheese. In the city, the only thing that matters is the money, and that's the only thing I want, honey. I live the life that's crummy, so I want my gold like a day sunny. Once upon a time.
Hey, this is Bird Rabbit, and I am going to do something different. I got my Mitra Blue channel removed due to too many strikes. Don't know if it was because of a live or just too many THCA, but I doubt it. But anywho, so we're gonna do something different. We're just gonna be doing a little bit of literature. So we're gonna be reading some literature, and I think I'm gonna be doing this for, you know, some sessions, some videos. You know, it'll be fun. You know, don't really do that often. Read, so this would be a cool activity. You know, and might as well document it. You know, so what we're gonna start off with is gonna be a little bit of Mr. Frederick Douglass. You know, the autobiographies, and I got the collection version. So yeah, let's get this started with, if you don't mind. So let's get to reading. All right. The Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave. Mr. Frederick Douglass. Written by himself. Okay. Nice. Preface. Got a little bit of, you know what I'm saying? So, let's get that in. Alright. In the month of 1841, I attended an anti-slavery convention in Nantucket, at which it was my happiness to become acquainted with Frederick Douglass, the writer of the following narrative. He was a stranger to nearly every member of that body, but having recently made his escape from the southern prison house of bondage, and feeling his curiosity excited to ascertain the principles and measures of abolitionists, of whom he had heard of somewhat vague description while he was a slave, he was induced to give his attendance on occasion alluded to, my mistake, through at that time residents of New Bedford. Most fortunate occurrence, fortunate for the millions of his manacled brethren, yet panting for the deliverance from their awful thraldom, fortunate for the cause of Negro emancipation and of the universal liberty, fortunate for the land of his birth, which he has already done so much to save and bless, fortunate for a large circle of friends, acquaintances, whose sympathy and affection he has strongly secured by many suffering he has endured, by his virtuous traits of character, by his ever-abiding remembrance of those who are in bonds, as being bond with them, fortunate for the multitudes in various parts of our republic, whose minds he has enlightened on the subject of slavery, and who have been melted to tears by his pathos, or aroused to virtuous indignation by his stirring eloquence against the enslaved of men, fortunate for himself, as it as once brought him into a field of public usefulness, gave the world assurance of a man, quickened the slumbering energies of his soul, and consecrated him to the great work of breaking the rod of the oppressor and letting the oppressed go free. Nice. I shall never forget his first speech at the convention, the extraordinary emotion it excited in my own mind, the powerful impression it created upon the crowded authority. Completely taken by surprise, the applause which followed from the beginning to the end of his fallacious remarks. I think I never hated slavery so intensely as at that moment. I think I never hated slavery so intensely as that moment. Certainly my perception of the enormous outrage which is inflicted by it on godlike nature of his victims was rendered for more clear than ever. There stood one in physical proportion of his stature, commanding and exact in intellect, richly endued in the natural eloquence, a prodigy in soul manifestly created but a little lower than the angel, yet a slave, yea, a fugitive slave, trembling for his safety, hardly daring to believe that on the American soil a single white person could be found who would befriend him at all hazards for the love God and humanity, capable of high attainments as an intellectual and moral being, needing nothing but a comparatively small amount of cultivation to make him an ornament to society, a blessing to his race, by law of the land, by the voice of the people, by the terms of the slave code. He was only a piece of property, a beast of burden, a chattel, personal nevertheless. A beloved friend from the New Bedford prevailed on Mr. Douglas to address the convention. He came forward to the platform with his hesitancy and embracement, necessarily the attendance of a sensitive mind in such a novel position. After apologizing for his ignorance and reminding the audience that the slavery was a poor school for human intellect and heart, he proceeded to narrate some of the facts in his own history as a slave, and in the course of his speech gave utterance to many noble thoughts and thrilling reflections. As soon as he had taken his seat, filled with hope and admiration, I rose and declared that Patrick Henry, of the revolutionary fame, never made a speech more eloquent in cause of liberty than the one we had listened to from the lips of that hunted fugitive. So I believe at that time such and believe. Now I reminded the audience of the peril which surrounded this self-emancipated young man at the North, even in Massachusetts, on the soil of the Pilgrim Fathers, among the descendants of a revolutionary sires, and I appealed to them whether they would ever allow him to be carried back into slavery, law or no law, constitution or no constitution. The response was unanimous, and in thunder tones, no. Will you secure and protect him as a brother man, a resident of the old Bay State? Yes, shouted the whole mass, with an energy so startling that the ruthless tyrant south of Manson and Dixon line might almost have heard the mighty burst of feeling and recognized it as pledge and an invisible determination on the part of those who gave it, never to betray him that wonders, but to hide out the outcasts and firmly to abide the consequence. Nice. Man. So, I guess it's reflection time. I remember where I left off. And excuse my pronunciation on some words, you know. I'm trying to do my best of reading, you know. But basically, I guess this is Frederick Douglass accounting for himself to be a free slave in public or to the court. Besides that, we're gonna get more into it. figure it out. And you know what I'm saying? Reflect on what we're reading to actually know that we're paying attention. Well, I'm paying attention type shit. So let's do this. It was at once deeply impressed upon the mind that if Mr. Douglas could be persuaded to consecrate his time and talents to promotion of the anti-slavery enterprise, a powerful impetus would be given to it, and a stunning blow at the same time inflicted of the northern prejudice against a colored complexion. I therefore endeavored to instill hope and courage into his mind in order that he might dare to engage in a vocation so anomalous, and responsible for a person in his situation. I was second in this effort by warm-hearted friends, especially by the late General Agent of Massachusetts Anti-Slavery Society, Mr. John A. Collins, whose judgments in this instance entirely coincided with my own mind. At first, he could give no encouragement with diffidence, he expressed his conviction that he was not adequate to the performance of such a great task. The path marked out was wholly an untreated one. He was sincerely apprehensive that he could do no more harm than good. After such deliberance, however, he conceded to make a trial, and ever since that period, he has acted as a lecturing agent under auspices. I don't know what the fuck that's under the auspices either of the American or the Massachusetts Anti-Slavery Society and labors. He has been most abundant in his success in combating prejudice and gaining proselytes in agitating the public mind has far surpassed the most sanguine expectations that were raised at the commencement of his brilliant career. He has borne himself with gentleness, meekness, yet true manliness of character. As a public speaker, he excels in pathos, wit, comparison, imitation, strength of reasoning. As a public speaker, he excels in pathos, wit, comparison, imitation, strength of reasoning, and fluency of language. There is in him that union of the head and heart which is indispensable to the enlightenment of the head and winning of the hearts of others. May his strength continue to be equal to his day. May he continue to grow in grace and yet in the knowledge of God, that he may increasingly serviceable in the cause of bleeding humanity, whether at home or abroad. It is certainly a very remarkable fact that one of the most efficient advocates of the slave population now before the public is a fugitive slave, in the person of Frederick Douglass, and the free colored population of the United States are as able represented by one of their own members. Own number. Shit. Same fucking thing. In the person of Charles Lennox Raymond, whose eloquent appeals have extorted the highest applause of multitudes on both sides of the Atlantic, let the columnators of the colored race, columnators of the colored race despise themselves for their baseness of illiberality of spirit, and henceforth cease to talk of the natural inferiority of those who require nothing but time and opportunity to attain the highest point of human excellence. It may perhaps be fairly questioned whether any other portion of population on earth could have endured the privation of suffering and horror of slavery without having become more degraded in the scale of humanity than the slaves of African descent. Nothing has been left undone. Nothing has been left undone to cripple the intellects, darken the minds, debase their moral nature, obliterate all traces of their relationships to mankind. And yet, how wonderfully they have sustained the mighty load of the most frightful bondage, under which they have been groaning for centuries, to illustrate their efforts of slavery on the white man, to show that he has no power of endurance in such a condition superior to those of his black brother. Daniel O'Connell, the distinguished advocate of the universal emancipation and the mightiest champion of the prostrate but now conquered Ireland. Let's read that again. Daniel O'Connell, the distinguished advocate of the universal emancipation and the mightiest champion of prostrate but not conquered Ireland. The mightiest champion of prostrate but not conquered Ireland relates of the following and indicate in a speech delivered by him in the Consolation Hall, Dublin, before the Loyal National Repeal Association, my bad. Alright. Relates to the following indicate in a speech delivered by him in the Consolation Hall, Dublin, before the Loyal National Repeal Association. Alright, my phone's dying. So that's a great place to leave off. Alright, next. We'll marker this. My shit's about to die. Alright, March. Alright, March. Alright, that's where we leave off. So, it was a good start. I guess this was a trial. I don't know. But I know Frederick Douglass was good with the Ireland people. He went to Ireland and all that other shit. When he was freed, you know. But besides that, I know they have a statue of him in Ireland as well. But besides that, we're gonna learn some more on the next video. So this is another session of the Mitra Blue series. I guess you would say that, because my channel got removed. So we'll just call this the Mitra Blue books read. You know what I'm saying? Because I got multiple books. You know what I'm saying? So we got this monster. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna read some of that. We got Malcolm X. We got some of that. And you know, also we got, you know what I'm saying, the other book into this. And so we just gonna keep on trying to figure out these root books and read them up. You know what I'm saying? And it's something new. You know, they said you know what I'm saying, people, I guess kids can't really read that much, so it's a good start to start picking up a book and reading something you like, right? Or something you're interested in, or something that, I don't know. Right, I don't know. But pick up a book, you know, and that's it. Alright, this is Bird Rabbit, and get to you to the next episode. Thank you.